Thank you for the opportunity to be a guest speaker in the 5th International Conference and Annual General Meeting of the Association of Gynecological Endoscopic Surgeons in Nigeria. I'm leading in this topic that is titled The Logistic Challenges During Laparoscopic Surgeries, a Concern in Developing Countries. My name is Kenneth Egwuda. I have no competing interests to declare in the course of this presentation. Laparoscopy has evolved into an indispensable surgical tool in most parts of the globe. But then, laparoscopic programs are complex and require significant initial and sustained investment, which include high level of human capital, technical equipment, and of course, cost in establishing a functional laparoscopic unit. There are lots of advantages of laparoscopic surgeries, as you could see on my slide here, ranging from safe, less pain, and all the other benefits that accrues to it. But it is beyond the scope of my presentation. But I'm sure in the course of this meeting, all the advantages may be highlighted in some other places. While laparoscopy has flourished in high-income countries, it remains unavailable for the majority of the world's population who live in the low or middle-income countries. In the map on my slide right here, you have different colors representing availability of laparoscopic surgery in the world. The areas that are colored dark are areas where laparoscopic surgery or surgery generally it's inaccessible or has less coverage. And I guess Nigeria and some part of the West African countries or some of the sub-Saharan countries fall within this region. My main topic actually is the logistic challenges during laparoscopic surgery, which is a concern in this part of the world. And on my slide here, on my right-hand side, I'm sure that this road will remind us of so many things. And for me, it looks like some of the roads that I've traveled along using the car. Challenges during laparoscopic surgery could arise from any of the following. It could be from the team setting or the theater setting, the equipment handlers or cleaners, equipping or recycling of instruments, availability of biomedical engineers, competent assistants, or scrub nurses. The cost of the surgery could also be a very major challenge, especially in this part of the world. The team that compose the unit of a laparoscopic surgery could be the main challenge during a laparoscopic surgery. All the members of the team may not all be resident in the same location, and so this will require planning, booking, and batching of clients, so to reduce the logistic challenges that may be associated with laparoscopic surgery. It may take a long time to train a local assistant, and oftentimes the lead laparoscopic surgeon may come along with his own competent assistant who understands the way he works. So without the competent assistant, it may be difficult for the laparoscopic surgeon to carry out procedures in a timely manner. Still talking about the team, since laparoscopic surgery is still evolving, there may be some challenges with the anesthesia or the anesthesiologists, because the physiology of the patient undergoing laparoscopic surgery may not be the conventional physiology as we see in open surgery. For instance, the effect of insufflation on respiration can pose anesthetic challenge to an anesthetist who is not used to laparoscopic surgeries. And even the administration of vasopressin, if it is permissible in the area of practice, may be associated with some cardiovascular changes that may not be that if anesthesiologists may not be familiar with. And so that can pose some challenges or can throw the anesthetist off balance. I still remember that some surgeons prefer working with the anesthetists that they have worked with over several times, who have understood some of these changes during surgeries. Yeah, the team with all the skills and competencies is very important during laparoscopic surgery. And so training and retraining of manpower is especially necessary with evolving technology. We see that the long duration of surgeries may bring some challenges. You could have problem with staff commitment, and this may affect the outcome of laparoscopic surgeries. So the theater setting can pose a challenge during laparoscopic surgery. You see that many operating rooms have only one or at most two monitors that may not be placed strategically to permit for easy vision of the laparoscopic procedure. The operating table may not even permit all ranges of positioning or movement that you need to make during laparoscopic surgery, and this may make laparoscopic surgeries a little bit more difficult or increase the technicalities of carrying out laparoscopic surgery. Down in my slide here, you see a setting of a theater where you have the lighting units, the theater lights hung onto the ceiling of the theater with up to 4 to 5 monitors. This makes for easy visibility, easy visual unit, and from whichever position you are standing or assisting or operating, you could find a screen that is meant for you. And with this kind of setting, acrobatic neck injuries and fatigue is minimized. So when you don't have this kind of setting, carrying out laparoscopic surgery becomes difficult because the assistant may not even see what he is meant to be doing because of poor positioning. So this is actually a standard laparoscopic theater setting. Equipment handlers or cleaners could pose challenges during laparoscopic surgery. Like poor handling of equipment may breach the insulating materials and may cause electrical accident during a laparoscopic surgery. Rusting may occur and instruments may break while in use. This is usually as a result of lack of proper training on instrument management. The high cost of laparoscopic surgeries and patient inability to pay for services may warrant recycling of disposable instruments. Now, recycled instruments may not be as effective as expected, and this may prolong operation time or even pose some technical difficulties. I remember working in the Royal Delta Hospital in England, and yes, I was doing intermediate training there in laparoscopy, and the questions just go around. These instruments are supposed to be disposable after single use. So, and the question was like, hey, Ken, what happens in your country? Well, I was just open. I said, occasionally we recycle all of this. And I became like the laughing stock in theater. And whenever there is instrument that needs to be disposed, everyone would turn and look at Ken and say, Ken, what do you think about this? And of course, I said, you can just keep it for me. I'll take it down to my country. Well, that's on a lighter note. Yeah, because of the high cost of surgeries, occasionally we are forced to recycle instruments, disposable instruments, and this may make surgeries to be technically difficult or even prolonged because they are either blunt or not too sharp or not too effective. So below the slides here, we have two images, one showing a rusted handed instrument, and of course, if you work with these, you operate with these, you can tell how the surgery would go. It may not be as smooth as when you're using a brand new instruments. The biomedical engineer is a functional part of a laparoscopic surgery team. Instruments or equipment may malfunction intraoperatively, and you need the services of a biomedical engineer to get it fixed. The instruments are either fixed, or if you have a spare to use, then you can go on with your surgeries. Or otherwise, you may have to convert to an open surgery. The place of a competent assistant or the scrub nurses cannot be overemphasized. Assistants and laparoscopic scrub nurses are always changing jobs. And when you think you are settled and stable, then you get struck and the procedure become difficult again, because people are always moving or looking for greener pastures. And so it makes the laparoscopic unit to be very unstable when people who you have trained change or switch to other companies or other jobs. The advice I would give at this point is to have multiple staff training in different capacities. So when one leaves, you smoothly have another one who takes over the position or the place of this one that is leaving. It is very important to mention the cost has been a very major challenge during laparoscopic surgery. Most people want to find out what the cost of this surgery is. The high cost of consumable and the payment of expatriates contributes to the high cost of laparoscopic surgeries. And when you have a lot of expatriates coming, high cost of equipment, and I don't know what the equipment are costing now with the fluctuation in currency of some of these of the low-income countries. And this cost, of course, can only be transferred to the clients, and this make the cost of laparoscopic surgery a little bit high. The challenges faced during laparoscopic surgeries are very numerous, but with the timing of this presentation, we can only talk about the limited challenges that I've mentioned. But I cannot round off this presentation without mentioning some very vital recommendations that will help in overcoming some of the challenges that we face during laparoscopic surgery. One of the important recommendations is advocacy for laparoscopic surgery. We need to talk about laparoscopic surgery, educate people about laparoscopic surgery, train people on laparoscopic surgery, and by so doing, the knowledge, awareness, and practice of laparoscopic surgery will be rampant. That will make laparoscopic surgery easily accessible. We should also strengthen the public institution. If you go around the public institution in this part of the world, you observe that no significant laparoscopic surgery procedures are carried out in many. Most just do laparoscopic, diagnostic laparoscopy, and a few do therapeutic operative laparoscopy. But if this is rampant in the tertiary institutions or training institutions, we'll have more residents and more doctors, involved in the practice of laparoscopic surgery. These may make the practice widespread and more accessible. Private sector involvement is very important. If you look at the world entirely, in all countries where medicine is practiced to a very to a very advanced level, you cannot exclude the significant contribution of the private sector. So we should encourage more private sector involvement, for instance, coming in for equipment and even development of the core structure of the hospital setting. Collaboration with tech companies is very important here. In Europe, for instance, you have a lot of tech companies who go around institutions and supplying advanced or modern laparoscopic devices that are either paid for by the government or are even supplied maybe on free basis while you commit to buying consumables to run the equipment. That way they make their monies from the consumables. The place of self-development and more training opportunities cannot be overemphasized. In the world we live today, technology is getting too advanced. Before you think you have understood this technology, another technology is springing up. So we need to keep abreast with modern technology, and we need to do a lot of self-development. Development of functional insurance scheme can help in improving access to laparoscopic surgeries. The cost of laparoscopic surgery may actually be a little bit higher for the middle or low income earners in our society. But if there's a functional insurance that can pay up the cost of this surgery, we could have more people coming to access the services of laparoscopic surgeons. Good practice guidelines need to be adapted to limited resource setting. Poor practices or substandard practices can be controlled where we have good practice guidelines. What should we do when we have all these challenges? Challenges are meant for us to rise up and to overcome. And that would be my take-home message as I round up this very short presentation. I want to thank you very much for your attention. And thanks so much.